親子ではない。
At a blazing speed of 300 kilometers per hour, Mai Liu skillfully maneuvers the car while being pursued by 3 determined police cars. Tension reaches its peak when one of the police cars crashes into theirs, prompting Mai Liu to retaliate, resulting in a fiery collision that obliterates the police vehicle. Beside him, Angie feels her nerves fray, but Mai Liu switches on the music in an attempt to soothe her frayed nerves. He reassures her that they will shake off their pursuers soon. Amidst this turmoil, the remaining 2 police cars intensify their pursuit, launching a barrage of gunfire that shatters the car's windows. Swiftly reacting, Mai Liu shields Angie from the raining bullets by pushing her head down, his concern growing as the police escalate their tactics, seemingly authorized to use deadly force. In a desperate move, he unveils a bag of flash grenades, surprising Angie with its unexpected contents. Their already dire situation takes an even darker turn as a formidable BST striker materializes in front of their vehicle, forcing them to screech to a halt. This unexpected obstacle shocks them both, leaving them momentarily immobilized. A jarring flashback ensues, transporting Mai Liu's mind to a time when he and Win Kao sat outside a bank. In this memory, their attention is diverted by a woman's cries for help as she is attacked by a bloodthirsty creature known as a bloodivore. The assailant, sporting glowing red eyes and menacing teeth, wears a collar that emits an eerie crimson light. These creatures are referred to as DGPS. In the face of danger, Win Kao, Angie, and Mai Liu join forces to repel the threat, successfully infiltrating the bank and procuring the necessary code to unlock a secured compartment. Following a daring bank heist, chaos ensues during their escape. A poignant moment unfolds when a child inadvertently catches a glimpse of Win Kao's unmasked face, leading to gunfire. Angie, displaying remarkable courage, steps in to shield the child from harm's way. Chen Fong arrives on the scene, facilitating their getaway, but not without evoking the ire of the pursuing police cars. With cunning resourcefulness, Mai Liu tosses the bag of stolen money to Win Kao and Chen Fong, allowing them to escape while he flees in the car with Angie. Despite their efforts, both Mai Liu and Angie are eventually captured by the BST operatives. A subsequent investigation led by Police Constable Lai ensues, eventually leading to the conviction of Mai Liu, Angie, Win Kao, and Chen Fong on charges of theft and murder. Amidst the turmoil, Mai Tenju, Mai Liu's father, seeks to understand his son's motives. An emotional exchange unfolds, leading to Mai Liu's revelation that the BST organization orchestrated his arrival. Tempers flare as Mai Tenju broaches the topic of Mai Liu's mother, prompting an angry outburst from Mai Liu, who demands to be left alone, asserting that he wants no further contact with his father. In a chilling moment, Mi Tenju grabs Mai Liu's hand, unleashing a surge of red light and causing Mai Liu to scream out in agony as a conspicuous red mark materializes on his hand. As Mai Liu regains consciousness in an unfamiliar setting, his eyes fall upon an unconscious girl lying nearby. He initially believes her to be Angie, but upon closer inspection, he realizes she is a stranger. Baffled, he wonders about her identity. A young boy is also sprawled unconscious beside them, prompting further questions about his presence. Gazing at the unfamiliar boy, Mai Liu finds himself pondering the mystery of his companions. Surveying the area, Mai Liu spots a bag placed nearby. His curiosity leads him to examine its contents, revealing clothing and a firearm within. In a bid to compare, he checks the bags of his fellow companions for similar items. Just as his fingers make contact with one of the bags, a sudden assault is launched by a boy named Li Xin. Stirred into action, the second girl, Cho Ifan, regains consciousness, disoriented by their surroundings. Li Xin tightens his grip on Mai Liu's throat and questions whether they, like him, have been condemned to death. The trio's attention is drawn to a backpack brimming with weapons positioned before them. Li Xin proceeds to equip himself with some of these armaments, expressing disbelief that deadly tools have been placed in the hands of death row inmates. The sinister implication dawns on them that combat could erupt at any moment. Their sense of unease is interrupted by a jarring noise that compels them to cover their ears. A pivotal moment unfolds as the prison doors swing open, setting off a chain reaction that sees all prison gates ajar. Mai Liu seizes this opportunity and exits the prison confines, only to be met with a staggering realization. There are countless others like him. Amidst the cacophony, a bell tolls and a crimson light bathes the scene, heralding an announcement that welcomes all inmates to a place called Aori. A woman emerges, presenting herself as the harbinger of this unexpected turn of events. Mai Liu's heart skips a beat as he spots Angie among the crowd. but the Angie standing behind him motions for silence and insists they listen first. A wave of euphoria sweeps over the prisoners as they learn their death sentences have been commuted. However, their reprieve is short-lived as the woman reveals their new fate, life imprisoned within Aori. The revelation triggers outrage, leading to a violent outburst, including an incident where the woman is attacked and her clothing torn. In the chaos, Chen Fong intervenes, subduing the aggressor and offering his shirt in a show of respect. Mai Liu notices the telltale red light collar around Chen Fong's neck, signifying their shared predicament. Frenzied unrest escalates as prisoners attempt to forcibly remove the explosive collars. A tense standoff unfolds as a gun-wielding prisoner targets Mai Liu, demanding the girl's surrender. Timely intervention by Win Kao shifts the balance, his firearm trained on the would-be assailant, offering Mai Liu a chance at respite. Win Kao's probing query concerning the bank heist resonates in the midst of chaos. Amid these events, the assailant who previously attacked the woman confronts Chen Fong once more, delivering a deadly kick. Yet, a sudden burst of the collar results in his demise, prompting screams of horror from the assembly. The woman clarifies that these collars, designed to prevent inter-prisoner violence, can also self-destruct if tampered with. This revelation tempers the crowd's aggression. Mai Liu, feeling driven to take charge, persuades Chen Fong to step aside. But not before his startling realization, the girl resembling Angie is, in fact, an Angie-faced robot. The robot Angie shares their mission, survival within Aori's confines. Just as an uneasy truce is established, a monstrous entity emerges from the ground, sending waves of terror through the inmates. Panic ensues as gunfire erupts in an attempt to fend off the creature's assault. In the midst of the chaos, Mai Liu grabs Angie's hand, igniting a desperate escape attempt. Yet, tragedy strikes as Cho Ifan's plea for rescue is abruptly silenced by the monstrous force, propelling Mai Liu and Angie toward the precipice of danger. Amidst the chaos as monsters lay siege to the war house, Mai Liu, Angie, and Cho Ifan strive to escape the prison's clutches. Their flight to freedom is abruptly thwarted by the appearance of a colossal monster, which propels Mai Liu away with a forceful blow. Angie valiantly fights back, brandishing her gun against the aggressor as she and Cho Ifan make a break for it. A second monster emerges, only to be met by Chen Fong's fiery assault using burning crackers. As Mai Liu regains consciousness, his primary concern is for Angie's well-being. Spotting her in peril against another attacking monster, he rushes to her aid, fending off the creature's onslaught. Angie expresses gratitude, and their attention shifts as they hear Cho Ifan's cries for help. Guiding Mai Liu to her bag, Angie instructs him to use the gun within to save Cho Ifan. Mai Liu takes swift action, firing at the monster and successfully rescuing Cho Ifan. After ensuring the safety of Angie and Cho Ifan, Mai Liu locates Li Xin amidst a swarm of monsters. Mai Liu offers assistance, but Li Xin motions for him to leave, assuring his well-being. Li Xin employs his swordsmanship to repel the monsters, causing them to retreat. As Mai Liu, Angie, and Cho Ifan ascend in their desperate bid for survival, the surroundings turn increasingly dim. They retrieve a flashlight from their bags, illuminating their path. Angie expresses concern about navigating in the darkness, to which Mai Liu responds that they must continue, trusting the path to lead them outside. Angie voices her worry for Win Kao and Chen Fong, but Mai Liu emphasizes the importance of finding a secure location before orchestrating any rescue efforts. Angie suggests searching for ducts that might offer an escape route, proposing the idea of splitting up to cover more ground. However, Mai Liu deems this option too hazardous due to the inability to communicate, and Cho Ifan concurs, asserting the value of mutual support. Meanwhile, Chen Fong leverages his abilities, coordinating with fellow inmates to erect a barrier, preventing the monsters from breaching their defenses. Navigating onward, Mai Liu, Angie, and Cho Ifan arrive at what appears to be an abandoned office. Mai Liu posits that the floor may be the second or third, speculating about the monster's presence within the space. Noticing Angie's tattered clothing, he remarks on the need to find new attire, prompting a bashful reaction from Angie. As Mai Liu ventures further, he discovers scattered items and a building map. Perplexed, he observes that a structure slated for completion years later stands decrepit and worn as if it had been in use for decades. Flashbacks intertwine with his thoughts, recalling a fateful school day marred by the intrusion of BST members. As panic ensues and students flee, Mai Liu is singled out by his teacher, informed that he cannot join the others in their escape. A mysterious BST member intervenes, diverting Mai Liu's path in alignment with an enigmatic agenda. Within the BST headquarters, the head of the organization receives reports of numerous prisoners' deaths, yet their bodies remain elusive. His attempts to access information on Mai Liu, Angie, and Cho Ifan within the system yield no results. Mai Liu leads Angie and Cho Ifan through the complex, urging them to remain vigilant and alert him to any potential threats upon leaving the room. He advises them to scavenge for weapons, tools, and sustenance, prompting Angie's confusion about their exact location on the 4th floor. Mai Lu acknowledges the incredulity but suggests they might be entangled in a convergence of space and time, an idea that amuses Cho Ifan. Mai Lu elaborates that this place exists as an intersection of past, future, and present, intertwining within space-time. Meanwhile, monsters assail the door that shelters the prisoners. Some detainees strive to hold the door closed, while others speculate that their efforts will be in vain against the creature's strength. One man threatens to detonate a grenade, triggering a frenzied struggle for control. Winkeo intervenes, eliminating the threat and safeguarding the lives of his fellow captives. Determined to escape, Chen Fong seizes the grenade and hatches a plan to utilize it to rupture the door. As events unfold, Cho Ifan, Angie, and Mai Lu find themselves in a precarious situation. Cho Ifan inquires whether Mai Lu can use his powers to descend to safety, but he clarifies that his abilities merely allow him to create a gravitational focal point and fall toward it. A monster's sudden appearance forces them into combat. Mai Lu emulates Li Xin's tactics, striking the creature's head and instructing Angie and Cho Ifan to flee. Angie confronts another monster head-on, her gun aimed true, and urges Cho Ifan to hasten opening the nearby door. However, the course of events takes a dire twist as Cho Ifan unexpectedly shoves Angie forward and seals the door behind her. The monstrous attacker sets upon Angie with brutal force. In the nick of time, Mai Lu intervenes, engaging the creature to rescue Angie from the onslaught. Simultaneously, Cho Ifan successfully opens the door and beckons Mai Lu inside, extending a helping hand. In a pivotal decision, Mai Lu chooses to carry Angie to safety on the other side, demonstrating his commitment to her well-being even in the face of danger. In a daring display of strength and determination, Chen Fong scales the towering door as the bewildered prisoners observe his actions. His ascent reaches its peak when a hefty chunk of iron suddenly plummets from the door's height, triggering chaos as the inmates scatter and berate him for the unexpected shower of debris. Chen Fong eventually reaches the door's summit and discovers a broken robot head bearing an uncanny resemblance to Angie. As he passes by the discarded creation, a vivid blue light emanates from it. A narrow exit beckons him forward, but the path quickly transforms into a torrent of falling stones as the door begins to shut. Reacting with swift reflexes, Chen Fong interposes his hand to halt the door's closure. Amid this tense situation, a mysterious figure seizes his hand and pulls forcefully, inducing a searing headache. The enigmatic figure reveals that his memories are fragmented. He awoke in this place with no recollection of how he arrived. He queries Chen Fong about Mai Tenju's whereabouts, but the latter remains clueless, explaining that he was simply thrust into this predicament after waking up. In a surprising turn of events, the figure grasps the fallen hand grenade and inadvertently releases Chen Fong, allowing the door to slam shut. A monster's hand emerges from the closing entrance, prompting Chen Fong to flee. He implores the figure to follow suit, but the creature attacks before their escape is complete. Nevertheless, the mysterious figure's vigorous retaliation dispels the monster and causes the surrounding walls to crumble, leaving Chen Fong awestruck. The scene transitions to Mai Lu, who awakens in an unconscious state, only to be bathed in a luminous blue light that converges on the red marks adorning his hand. This otherworldly occurrence rouses his consciousness. Hastening to Angie's side, Mai Lu discovers her unconscious as well. Assessing her condition, he detects a deep and bleeding cut on her abdomen. Spotting a gun nearby, he devises a plan to employ its bullet to stem Angie's bleeding. However, his intentions are interrupted by the sudden appearance of a menacing monster. Swiftly outmaneuvering the creature, Mai Lu manages to retrieve the gun and extract its bullets. He employs a stone to apply pressure to the bullet wound on Angie's stomach, successfully staunching the bleeding and vanquishing the monster. Meanwhile, the BST head contacts Mai Tenju urgently, demanding an explanation for bestowing the sapphire upon Mai Lu. Mai Tenju justifies his decision, asserting that he considered every angle when passing down the sapphire, even if it might not work against its intended target. He emphasizes the importance of Mai Lu's candidacy and how blood ties factor into the equation. Shifting back to Mai Lu's perspective, he endeavors to escape from his confines by creating a hole in the wall. After relentless effort proves futile, he sinks into despondency, attempting to rally his spirits. Mai Lu inadvertently presses the blue light on the red marks on his hand, triggering a system activation. The system prompts him for a command, and he inquires about bloodivores. The system imparts a wealth of historical knowledge about bloodivores' past events. Realizing its potential, Mai Lu focuses on his next query, Aori. The system unveils comprehensive information about the enigmatic location.
game is over.
Returning to Angie's side, who remains unconscious, Mai Liu employs the blue light to mend her wound, hoping to save her life. As Angie regains consciousness, her eyes transform into a fiery red hue, and she launches a ferocious attack on Mai Liu. Their ensuing struggle culminates in both of them succumbing to unconsciousness. The scene unfolds with Li Xin launching a fierce attack on Lu Yao, his swift strikes attempting to breach Lu Yao's defenses. Spectators among the prisoners marvel at the intensity of the confrontation, awestruck by the sheer power exhibited by both combatants. Li Xin targets Lu Yao's throat with his blade, yet Lu Yao nimbly seizes Li Xin's hand, countering with a deft twist. He questions Li Xin's intent to kill him, prompting Li Xin to query the necessary steps. Lu Yao's response involves the elimination of obstacles obstructing their path. A resolve to prove himself unswayed, Li Xin asserts his prowess, only to find himself ensnared in Lu Yao's grip, a vice-like chokehold that prompts his swords to fall to the ground. Lu Yao seizes the moment to bite at Li Xin's neck, revealing his blood-of-war nature. Stunning the onlookers, Lu Yao releases Li Xin, dismissing his actions as jest and revealing no intent to feed on his blood. Acknowledging a change of heart regarding Li Xin, Lu Yao administers a powerful blow that propels him into the air. Meanwhile, Mai Liu falls into unconsciousness and is visited by a dream of his mother, who imparts encouragement and a promise of protection. Awaking with a renewed determination, Mai Liu tends to Angie, and as fate would have it, a mighty gust of wind sweeps through, causing the wall to crumble. Carrying Angie on his shoulders, Mai Liu embarks on their escape from the confines. Angie, devoid of memory of recent events, queries Mai Liu about the situation. He advises her to conserve her strength, elaborating on his exploration of the building. Angie playfully wonders why Mai Liu always ends up saving her, to which he responds that the first time he saw her, she reminded him of his mother, a bond that spurred him to protect her. Their conversation is interrupted by the appearance of a flying dragon, prompting Angie's request to be set down so she can walk the rest of the way. Mai Liu insists on taking care of her, prompting her to express her desire to save her strength and allow him to carry her. Angie expresses concern for Chen Fong and Wen Kao, urging Mai Liu to look after them. In a different scenario, Lu Yao sets the prisoners free from their confinement. However, as Wen Kao attempts to exit, Chen Fong halts him, emphasizing the importance of finding Mai Liu and Angie. Wen Kao's frustration mounts as he contends that they may have already abandoned him and escaped. Chen Fong protests, explaining that Mai Liu isn't involved in the situation, but Wen Kao vehemently disagrees, blaming his own ill-fated plan for their predicament. A revelation surfaces, Chen Fong's unspoken affection for Angie. A firm decision made, Wen Kao departs, asserting his intention to make his own choices. Engaging with Chen Fong, Lu Xin reveals that Mai Liu is known to him, recounting their shared experience of being trapped in a cabinet. He discloses that Mai Liu fled into an air duct with 2 girls but has since vanished, casting uncertainty on his fate. In a state of concern, Feng Chen sought information from Lai Xin regarding the air duct through which Mai Liu and Angie had disappeared. Lai Xin explained that Mai Liu utilized hemancy to transport himself and the girl, advising Feng Chen against pursuing them, as it might lead to no fruitful outcome. The revelation that Mai Liu was a humancer left Feng Chen perplexed. Lai Xin, taken aback, couldn't fathom how all the monsters had been vanquished. Suspicion cast upon Mai Liu, but Feng Chen remained doubtful about his capability to single-handedly defeat the horde. Lai Xin reminded him of the androids' council to survive in Aori, their sole guide in this enigmatic realm. As monster corpses dissolved, revealing human-shaped crystals, Feng Chen's touch triggered an odd sensation as the crystal melted away. A shared decision was reached between Lai Xin and Feng Chen to search for Mai Liu, motivated by a quest for answers. Meanwhile, Lao was engrossed in listening to recordings, delving into a separate narrative thread. Mai Liu carried the unconscious Angie on his back, reflecting on his determination to save the orphanage. Amid his contemplations, echoes of his friends' voices resonated in his mind, prompting him to remain vigilant. Unexpectedly, a monster lurked behind him. Fueled by frustration, Mai Liu approached the creature with the intent to attack. Transitioning scenes, Lai Xin and Feng Chen embarked on a search for Mai Liu and Angie, tracing the monster's tracks in hope of discovering their well-being. An eerie voice emanated, causing agonizing discomfort in their minds. Armed with a knife, Lai Xin ventured toward the source, steering the narrative back to Mai Liu's perspective. Battling a monster, Mai Liu's resilience prevailed as he overpowered the creature, venting his frustration by striking its lifeless form with a rock. A sudden attack disrupted his focus as another monster pounced on the unconscious Angie. Lai Xin, witnessing the peril, moved to intervene, only to be ensnared by the awakening monster. The sight of Angie being carried off left Lai Xin paralyzed with shock, leading him to lose consciousness. Upon regaining awareness, he encountered a young girl nearby. Bewildered by the circumstances and finding Feng Chen and Lai Xin in proximity, Lai Xin's confusion was met with Feng Chen's tearful emotions. Anguish consumed Feng Chen as he pummeled Mai Liu, his punches punctuated by sobs, disappointed that Mai Liu had not fulfilled his promise to safeguard Angie. Amidst tears and apologies, Mai Liu expressed his helplessness, the weight of his inability evident. The emotional turmoil between them erupted into a physical confrontation, punctuated by punches and anguish, while Lai Xin looked on, his anger simmering. The conflict reached its climax, both combatants spent and tearful, their shared grief uniting them. In the quiet of the night, Feng Chen recounted the events that led them to Mai Liu, describing his battle with a monster but lacking memories beyond that point. Lai Xin interjected, explaining how he had saved them. The recollection led them to the painful realization of their vulnerable positions and the unexpected twists of fate. Later, Feng Chen confided in Mai Liu about his intention to rescue Wen Kao, acknowledging that he was taking him away from this perplexing realm. Lai Xin inquired about Chou Yifan. The silence that followed conveyed more than words. Feng Chen's sorrow surfaced as he gazed at a childhood photograph of Mai Liu, Wen Kao, and Renji. Simultaneously, scenes unfolded revealing Wen Kao's triumphant breach of the main gate, accompanied by followers of Yao Lu. Amid the triumph, Lu Yao observed with a contented smile. The enigmatic little girl approached the unconscious Renji, using her as a pillow before Renji stirred awake, signaling another enigmatic twist in the narrative. In the midst of his melancholy, Mai Liu was startled when he noticed movement outside. Rushing out, he was stunned to see Angie standing there with a smile. Cheng Feng arrived as well and, overcome with emotion, hugged Angie while shedding tears. They explained to Angie that she had momentarily stopped breathing, though she had no recollection of it. Angie inquired about the little blonde girl, Ye, whom they saw nearby and who had fled upon Angie's query. Li Xin revealed that Ye was unable to speak, uttering only the word Ye, which became her name. Despite Cheng Feng's playful attempts to scare Ye, she kicked him and sought refuge behind Angie. Mai Liu deduced that Ye was a bloodivore, brought to Aori at a different time from them. Li Xin recounted a peculiar experience in a room that seemed to shed its skin, from which they rescued Ye as the room melted. Mai Liu speculated on a connection between this phenomenon and Angie's revival. He believed Ye was transmitted into Aori via the monsters they defeated, prompting him to seek the truth by revisiting the mysterious room, potentially unlocking the means to return home. Angie used a transceiver to communicate, indicating they should share any discoveries. Returning to the present, Feng Chen was concerned about leaving Li Xin in charge of Angie and Ye, though they had limited options. Meanwhile, Li Xin grappled with his fear of girls while conversing with Angie. He questioned the resemblance between the android and Angie, inadvertently startling her. Li Xin then read the writing on Ye's collar. Mai Liu and Cheng Feng observed followers of Yao Lu amassing weapons and took cover, realizing they were in danger. They received a distress call from Renji through the transceiver, but they were unable to respond due to their hidden position. Angie reassured Li Xin, explaining their circumstances and expressing concern for Mai Liu and Cheng Feng. Mai Liu and Cheng Feng, now with Yao Lu's followers, moved toward Yao Lu. Mai Liu explained his theory regarding the collar's counter increasing with monster kills. Suddenly, a massive monster arm emerged from a building, instantly killing Yao Lu's followers who were dragged into the structure. In a tense chase, Mai Liu and Cheng Feng fled from the pursuing monster arm. Meanwhile, back with Yao Lu's followers, they struggled to contain a formidable monster. The monster broke free and lunged toward Wen Kao, setting the stage for an intense confrontation. Running through the chaotic scene, Mai Liu and Cheng Feng contemplated their last resort to save Ye, capturing a monster. Although unsure if this plan would work, it was their only choice. Meanwhile, the battle between Wen Kao and the monster raged on. Wen Kao's ammunition was nearly depleted, and the monster relentlessly wreaked havoc. Just as Wen Kao's situation grew dire, Mai Liu intervened in the nick of time, saving him. Mai Liu urged Wen Kao not to kill the monster, explaining their need to capture it. Wen Kao, still harboring resentment, was skeptical. Mai Liu employed his humanancy to swiftly defeat the monster, only to discover that the creature was a young boy named Shen Ye. Confusion swirled as they tried to comprehend this unexpected turn of events. Chen Feng attempted to convince Wen Kao to join them in their mission, given that Angie was with them. But Wen Kao refused, asserting that they were now strangers. Back at their base, Angie's worry grew as she anxiously awaited news from Mai Liu and Cheng Feng. Li Xin suddenly experienced excruciating pain, with his body being impaled by multiple swords. His eyes turned red, and he left the room in distress. Mai Liu and Cheng Fong continued their journey, accompanied by one of Lu Yao's followers. Cheng Fong revealed that he and Li Xin had come across a red bloodstone earlier, and Mai Liu's anger flared as he questioned why this information had been kept from him. Cheng Fong recounted that when he touched the stone, nothing happened. But when Li Xin touched it, the stone melted in his hand, much like what had occurred to the boy they encountered. Mai Liu deduced that the red bloodstone awakened their latent hemancy powers, which could potentially bring chaos to countless lives. As they reached Lu Yao's lair, they found themselves face to face with the enigmatic figure. Cho Ifan emerged from a room, greeting Mai Liu warmly. They explained their predicament regarding Li Xin and the young girl's life-threatening situation due to the collar counter. They requested weapons to save her and revealed their belief that she held a key to unraveling the mysteries of Aori. Lu Yao agreed to their request, but not without conditions. Angie, searching for Ye, discovered her hiding under a table, terrified by Li Xin, who was seemingly uncontrollable and emitting sword-like projections. Li Xin's rampage extended to destroying the restaurant where they resided. Back with Mai Liu and Cheng Fong, they were now loading weapons into their bags, with Lu Yao inquiring about Mai Liu's hemancy powers. However, Mai Liu was ignorant of his own abilities. Lu Yao brought them to witness Aori's barrier, explaining their need to break through it in order to escape. He pushed Mai Liu into the barrier to trigger his hemancy powers, which astounded Lu Yao. A fight ensued between them, but Lu Yao's superior skills gave him the upper hand. Mai Liu resorted to clever tactics, allowing him and Cheng Fong a chance to escape. Meanwhile, Wen Kao found their transmitter and heard Angie's voice urgently calling for help. After swiftly escaping Lu Yao's lair with the weapons, Mai Liu and Cheng Fong landed on a distant building. Cheng Fong inquired about the deal Mai Liu had made with Lu Yao. Mai Liu clarified that he had rejected Lu Yao's offer and expressed concern about Cho Ifan, whose hemancer powers could read people's minds and who harbored a grudge against him. Although confused, Cheng Fong agreed to discuss it later, emphasizing their priority was to ensure Angie and Ye's safety. As they ran, Mai Liu pondered the connection between his father and Lu Yao. In another setting, Lai sat in a car with a companion, discussing the investigation into donors. Suspicion arose around the name Shimin Guqing, who was actually Mai Liu's mother. Funds linked to her continued to flow even after her passing, being funneled from the lab where she worked to the orphanage under an alternate name. Perplexed by the inconsistencies, Lai left the car to make a purchase, only for a falling container to crash onto the vehicle. Aware that he was being targeted, he managed to fend off assailants despite being shot, ultimately finding a BST card in their pockets. Meanwhile, Angie and Ye hid while Li Xin approached them. Before he could attack, a monster appeared, diverting his attention. An intense battle between Li Xin and the monster unfolded, allowing Angie and Ye to escape. Lu Yao's followers prepared for a hunt, and Li Xin nearly caught up to them. Just in time, Mai Liu arrived and rescued Angie from Li Xin's imminent attack. Cheng Fong informed Angie of their journey after departing and shared Mai Liu's plan to save Ye, which involved her killing a monster. Mai Liu engaged in a fierce struggle with Li Xin, aiming to restore his consciousness. He instructed Cheng Fong to lead Angie and Ye to a specific location while he dealt with Li Xin. Mai Liu outlined the plan to save Ye by having Angie eliminate a monster. Aware of his limited time, Mai Liu took Li Xin to where the monstrous arm had emerged from the building. He regretfully apologized to Li Xin, explaining that he needed to use him as part of the plan to save Ye. He promised to return after rescuing Ye. Cheng Fong caught up with Angie and Ye, recounting their experiences after departing from Mai Liu. He detailed Mai Liu's plan, and they approached the area where Mai Liu and Li Xin were. Surprisingly, Li Xin emerged from the building, his hemancy demonstrated in defeating the monster's arm. However, the full monster reappeared, not aligning with Mai Liu's expectations. Mai Liu attempted to stop Li Xin from killing the monster as it might jeopardize their chances of saving Ye. Amidst this conflict, Cheng Fong and Angie closed in, while Mai Liu rushed toward the impending clash between Li Xin and the monster. Ye's distressed cries echoed through the tense atmosphere, leaving Cheng Fong unsure of how to console her. Fearing that Ye's agitation might be due to the presence of a nearby monster, he swiftly decided to leave the area, clutching Ye and hurrying towards the rest of the group. In the midst of the fight, Mai Liu was locked in combat with Li Xin, simultaneously defending against the monster's attacks. In a flash of skill, Li Xin severed the monster's tongue into pieces, forcing it to retreat into the building. Mai Liu and Li Xin continued their intense battle, with Angie soon arriving on the scene. Angie observed the fight and realized that Mai Liu might not endure much longer. Anticipating this outcome, Angie attempted to distract Li Xin away from Mai Liu. Li Xin lunged at Angie, but Cheng Fong intervened, absorbing the blow and suffering a severe injury. He urged Angie to take Ye and escape, but at that moment, Li Xin launched another attack. Mai Lu appeared just in time, using his Humanancer abilities to protect Cheng Fong and repel Li Xin. Mai Lu instructed them to flee while he dealt with Li Xin, acknowledging that he might not survive this confrontation. Angie and Cheng Fong debated over leaving Mai Lu behind, with Angie expressing her commitment to staying with her newfound family. Their discussion took an unexpected turn when Ye accidentally dropped the bag of grenades, an incident that sparked a potentially dangerous idea. Angie contemplated using the grenades against Li Xin, yet Cheng Fong slapped her, fearing the consequences for Mai Lu. The scene shifted back to Mai Lu's battle with Li Xin as both were pushed to their limits. Angie arrived with a grenade, determined to end the threat. Mai Lu pleaded for her to flee, but Angie's throw caught both Li Xin and Mai Lu within its blast radius. Angie rushed to Mai Lu's side, horrified by the sight of blood and unresponsive behavior. Li Xin also fell unconscious. Miraculously, Mai Lu regained consciousness and restrained Angie as she prepared to attack the now unconscious Li Xin. Mai Lu expressed gratitude for Angie's intervention, admitting that her action likely saved his life. An emotional release followed, with Angie breaking down in tears, relieved by the positive turn of events. Later that night, the group gathered, and concerns arose about Li Xin's potential threat if he awoke. Mai Lu reassured them that Li Xin wouldn't pose a danger anymore. Angie blamed herself for endangering everyone by trying to kill Li Xin, but both Mai Lu and Cheng Fong comforted her, assuring her that she made a difficult decision under pressure. Mai Lu requested the transceiver from Angie and repurposed it to create a remote control for the grenades. He formulated a plan for saving Ye using the grenades, with Angie agreeing to let Ye activate them at a specific time. Mai Lu was determined to venture into the building to set up the grenades, banking on Angie's promise to ensure their success, regardless of the circumstances. Mai Lu meticulously planted the explosives inside the building, contemplating his exit strategy to ensure his safety amidst the impending detonation. Venturing further, he stumbled upon a tunnel that led to a seemingly untouched library, a sanctuary untouched by the monsters. Amidst the shelves, he discovered a human skeleton, curiously devoid of the telltale collar. The eerie stillness was disrupted by the movement of a rock, the same phenomenon that had occurred when Angie released the grenade earlier. In the library, Mai Lu encountered a locket that triggered a memory from his childhood. A flashback transported him to a time when his mother gifted him the same locket on his birthday. The scene shifted back to the present, and he found a journal detailing the dark truth about their circumstances. The journal revealed that the children, including Mai Lu, were all part of an experimental project. Plan A failed, and Plan B required more individuals brought to Aori, leading to the recruitment of more subjects, all test subjects for mysterious purposes. As Mai Lu absorbed this horrifying revelation, a monster suddenly attacked him. He managed to evade the initial assault and soon confronted another monster. Angie arrived just in time, wielding her newfound humanancy powers to manipulate the shadows and immobilize the threat. Mai Lu observed Angie's incredible abilities in awe. Outside, Cheng Fong's concern grew as time passed without Mai Lu's return. A truck filled with Lu Yao's followers appeared, demanding Ye's surrender. Wen Kao emerged from the vehicle, questioning Cheng Fong's presence. Angie raced inside the building, facing down the monster while Mai Lu struggled against another. As they emerged from the building, Cheng Fong handed Ye the remote, and the plan was set in motion. Ye activated the bomb, successfully raising the counter on her collar. Angie wept for Mai Lu, who remained unconscious after being caught in the explosion while saving her. Wen Kao confronted Angie angrily, and flashbacks unveiled their shared past, intertwined with Mai Lu during their escape from the authorities. The scene shifted back to the present, where the monsters multiplied, overwhelming the group. Lu Yao and his followers arrived to aid them. Angie intervened to prevent further violence between Lu Yao and Li Xin. Just as the situation seemed dire, a colossal flying monster materialized, only to be swiftly defeated by Lu Yao. Amid the chaos, a woman appeared before them, and Mai Lu recognized her as his mother. The tension reached its peak as the group confronted the truth and faced the challenges ahead.
死んだのか、ザコめ。アオリから消えろ。